Welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. I'm Willow. This week, I believe we're on week 199 and we are sharing how we come by to working with our matron and or patron deities within our practice if we do so. Because it's Starting Out Solitary, I wanted to first start by saying that as I was growing up, raised in a Christian Orthodox belief system, so there was talk about God being the creator, God being He. From about the age of 5 or 6, I put 2 and 2 together that mummies and daddies do something and they make babies, meaning, female and male get together, do the tango, and they procreate. So I was asking my mum, where's God's wife? What's her name? How come no one talks about her? And she would give me the quick little responses back, which never really satisfied any of my questions. So honestly speaking, from a very young age, for me, God was non-gender specific or gender neutral, meaning neither male nor female. And when I started the path of paganism, I came across goddesses and gods. So one would think that's a little bit easier for me to comprehend, but it was all, I think, too overwhelming for me personally. So what I did after a while of reading, I put everything aside and I wanted to simplify it. So on my altar, I placed representations of God and representations of goddess. And in that process, for me, it was that visual confirmation. It sparked that inner knowing that the energies of both in actual fact intertwined, meaning that goddess held, energies and aspect of masculinity, just as God had the same with femininity. And I'm not going to say that word again because I can't even say it. And from that, it felt right that the great source or the divine is a diamond, and the goddesses and gods from different pantheons are facets of that diamond. So that's how I see everything. And I feel that someone who starts on their path, just as I did, that was a little bit confused with everything, that might help them. Another thing is that some people occasionally say that you shouldn't work with deities from different pantheons simultaneously. I haven't had anything bad or untoward or any warning signs happen to me when that has happened. But in saying that, on 2 occasions, I have worked with Kali and different deities from different pantheons, and she asked for me to be removed from the altar that she was sharing space with, and honor her in a separate place on her own. For me, that wasn't a warning sign, but rather her saying, hey, you really need to focus over here, etc. So as the events were unfolding, it made complete sense. So that can happen from time to time, and there are times where I still have worked with Kali simultaneously with deities from different pantheons, and it's been fine. Nothing bad's happened. I don't have a matron or patron that I continuously work with, but rather for me they present themselves seasonally, I guess, or when something big is about to happen, or when during something is about to happen. I feel that the utmost respect must be had when you're honoring and you're paying homage, and there's that reverence with, doesn't matter which god or goddess that you're working with. I think that's the most important thing for me anyway. Different ways in which they may present themselves to me depends. Sometimes it can be through meditation. A thing that I want to quickly mention here is that once I was reading when I first started to kind of visit the idea and concept of there being different goddesses and gods, I read up a little bit briefly on the more common ones that are spoken of within the community, just to get an understanding and feel what it's all about and that kind of stuff. And at one point that actually helped me because there was who was it now? That was years ago. There was a goddess that really spoke to me as I was reading information about her, and she wasn't quite commonly mentioned within the community. So that's another way, I guess, that you can feel a call to working with a particular goddess and god. So meditation is one. Sometimes it's not after the first meditation that I get it. It may take several or multiple meditations. Something that helps me is going off to Google, and I can type sentences of descriptions of things that I saw in my meditation when someone shows up, and most often than not I can find it helpful. When it's not helpful, I will throughout the day talk to myself and ask signs and pay attention. It's happened that in a conversation someone will mention a name, and I say to myself, hang on a second, I read something about that, and I'll revisit it. If I'm waiting a doctor's surgery and this happens to be a book or whatever, just being aware of what's happening around can also give you some insight on who is presenting themselves to you. Another thing when I first started is really struggled because a lot of people said, oh, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Yep, I knew that he, goddess, or said God or said goddess is the one because this and this happened, and it was so inspiring and waiting, I guess, for that moment. But for me, it's the journey rather than the destination. So a little bit like when you're finding yourself in a beautiful surrounding out in nature and you're seeing this mountain and you're wanting to get to the top point of the mountain, rather than just focusing your attention on going straight up, it's paying attention to what's going on around you. Sometimes we need to sit down and roll in the grass or pick some flowers, smell some flowers, sit on a rock, have a good cry. And it's that journey rather than the destination that we're going to. So I have come to realize I haven't had some, what's the word that I'm looking for? Anything like wow happen in a goddess or God showing themselves to me for me to work with them. And I wanted to mention that because I was a little bit down on that fact that nothing had happened to me, after a while of doing what I was doing. So not to place, so much pressure on the way it happens, but just paying attention and letting go and enjoying the journey. I think that's the most important thing. Another way that a deity may present themselves to me is through dream, of course. And I find the dreams, that part where you're about to fall asleep, they're the ones that are so vivid and I can remember, and they're the ones that I do pay extreme attention to. And in one time, the 3 fates actually came to me, and that made complete sense after the events unfolded. But I guess another thing is just reading up on different pantheons. There are so many different pantheons out there, and maybe just testing the waters and see how you're going. Reading a little bit can spark that something that you didn't even realize, especially stuff that a lot of people don't commonly share. And you can be surprised when you're reading that, when you're doing your research and you're and you're expanding on that knowledge, that's another way that a goddess or a god can say, hey, work with me too. So yeah, I don't feel that they have to specifically come to you in any special way. When you're doing the research as well, you will also find that within the pantheons, there are a lot of counterparts, I think, for lack of a better word to describe it. So certain energies or certain aspects may cross over. From the top of my head, for example, Neptune from the Roman pantheon is similar to Poseidon from the Greek pantheon as well. So, and you can notice within the different pantheons similarities as well, which I find extremely intriguing and fascinating. So that's pretty much all, I believe, my thoughts on this week's topic. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them down below. Until next week, I'm sending you so much love and blessing.